Miracle.
All right, so Will, tell me, I just want to do a knowledge check. I want to see if something is as common knowledge as I've been surprised, maybe.
Okay.
Tell me, Will, what is the distinction between the Arctic and the Antarctic?
I don't know, and I don't want to say my guess because I don't want to sound stupid.
It can't be worse than what
For
I thought it
God's
was,
sake.
so go ahead and say your guess.
I assumed that they were like on opposite poles.
No, you're actually exactly
That's
right.
correct.
Oh fuck.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, that's what I meant the whole time.
Do you know which is which, though?
Yeah, the Antarctic. Yeah, there's something going on with your microphone. It sounds like you're like jerking it off. You hear
Sounds
that
like
too,
I'm
Tommy?
jerking it off.
Yeah. There's just like a beep, like a feed coming from one of.
Here, let me try something.
I can't hear the static anymore.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Test. Okay, I mean,
Oh,
that
it was
works.
in there a little bit, but like not enough to notice. I don't think.
I think it's negligible, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not hearing as much now. Let me,
Yeah. Well,
alright, now we're good.
well, we're on the same page. We all always knew the difference between the Arctic and the Antarctic, and there's
Well,
nothing funny about that at all.
Well, wait a second, Sherman. But you just said you wondered if people thought what you thought. So
No.
what did you think?
No, there's nothing fun. And my name's not Sherman. The podcast isn't familiar with that lore, I don't
I feel
think.
like I've definitely called you Sherman on the pod.
Yeah, 'cause you call me Sherman fucking everywhere. I think I might have been led to, I might have gone through 27 years of life thinking that the Arctic and Antarctic were just the same place.
It's a reasonable thought, I think. But
It isn't. No, it isn't. You know what? That isn't nearly as bad of a fumble as you're mixing up Niger and Nigeria.
Well,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's way worse.
Well, Dav, you went through life thinking King from Tekken was like an actual leopard man, so
I think that's reasonable. He makes little leopard noises.
maybe I get confused sometimes, but you fumbled something that like actually matters.
Oh my god.
He gives presents to orphan children, David.
Sure. Yeah.
You're making my see. I went like all day without coughing, thinking I'd be ready for work again because I have COVID, and now you being so mean to me while I have COVID has like reinstilled it. Yeah.
Got re-COVIDed.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the fact that I haven't really been talking all day because I live alone.
You should talk to yourself more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say things like, riveting. Oh,
Riveting.
yes, very riveting.
Yeah, you can go in the mirror and just say that to yourself.
Rev up those fryers and fill those champagne glasses to the tippy top. It's West Coast Toast and Roast with Tommy, Will, and Dav.
Yeah.
Riveting. Welcome back to West Coast Toast and Roast. I am mainlining Frescas by the dozen to piss away as much COVID as I can because we treat it like the flu now, and I gotta go back to work tomorrow, and I'm Tommy.
And, I'll just drink a bottle of water, and I'm Will.
I'll just drink a bottle of insulin, and I'm Dav.
God, you really gotta cut that out, Dav. Like, it's becoming a dependence almost.
It could be described as such. But luckily I'm American and, you know, they care about their sick people here, so It's
That's
not
why
too
I'm going
bad,
back to
right?
work tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be dramatic. Like, I feel like $100. I would feel bad if I got someone sick. But I guess at this point, if someone's not vaccinated, that's kind of their choice. I got really lucky. I have a pretty mild case. I don't know. But hey, we're back on schedule. We had some business. We just had some busyness that kept us here and there. You know, contrary to Dav being a little bitch and getting pneumonia to delay an episode the other month, I lost my voice screaming like a baby on Guardians of the Galaxy drop ride in Disney when I visited Will in California, which I think is like a manly and dignified reason to delay the podcast.
Sure. Let's go with that. Yeah. I mean, I think if you got pneumonia from it, that would have been funnier. But whatever.
Yeah, when I open mouth kissed the Rocket Raccoon animatronic and swallowed a bunch of formaldehyde, got COVID or got pneumonia.
That's how you get pneumonia. That's it.
Yeah, germs. I don't know. Jesus. Yeah, no, I don't think we remarked that that it was like, you know, we were all on a road. I was next to two women we didn't know, and they were both fucking laughing at me for how much I was screaming on that fucking ride. That was fucking wild. Ugh.
That's why I don't go on drop rides.
Right. Yeah, because it's either you get laughed at by girls or you die.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much.
If you were there, you wouldn't have gone on.
No, I would not have gone on. I've been to California Adventure before, and I didn't ride it.
Wow. Most surprised Will let you get away with that, because, like, it's not always an option with her, I'll tell you that.
She knows I don't do drop rides.
Yeah, that's pretty much the one thing, right?
Pretty much. I mean, drop rides or anything that, like, spins too much, but that's pretty much it.
Well, plus, Tommy, you like Guardians of the Galaxy, like, a pretty decent amount, I think, so I didn't want you to, like, miss the animatronics or anything.
It's not like we put up a fight about it. I don't think I would go on it again after experiencing that once.
Yeah, fair enough. At least you tried it.
Yeah, I could say that I did. Unlike some people and vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people in Hunter, I guess.
What?
That one's fine.
I was just joking because you said you wanted to just say you gave Hunter a chance.
That's fair. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna finish the first arc before, like, giving any judgment. I did, like, almost think about talking about it.
You want to save it, though?
Yeah, until, like, I've at least gotten through one arc.
Thank God nobody...
roast.
What's that?
Oh.
What'd you say, Davey?
I said you're going to give it a solid roast.
I mean, right now it's looking like that.
That show is like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans of anime, where no one liked it at first, and then, like, people found things to like about it, and now it's become a culture of, like, you need to apologize for this, and it's like,
People like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans when they came out. What are you talking about?
People hated Spidey 3 when it came out.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
sure, but in the first two, no, everybody loved those.
Yeah. I guess the prequels, then, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's an apt description.
Alright. Trailer Life or Death. We have 3 trailers here. I think this is the first time we've done this in, like, a long time, because I think we had so much to talk about last time that we skipped it. But there's some good-ass trailers this month I really want to sink our teeth into. First off is for Woman of the Hour. This is the directorial debut of quadruple threat Anna Kendrick, telling the true story of Cheryl Bradshaw, who met a literal serial killer on the dating game, and it looks really creepy. It got, like, a lot of good press at, I think, TIFF last year. Then Netflix bought it and decided it was their IP to sit on and do nothing with. It is the reason we have this trailer is because it has theatrical releases in October in, like, Poland and 5 other countries. but not the US. I'm
sucks.
thinking. I know, yeah. I'm thinking Netflix is going to drop it. They always do their kind of awardsy stuff towards the end of the year. Like they're dropping Emilia Perez and The Piano Lesson in November. And I could see this trotting out alongside those two. I just don't know what's fucking taking them so long. Because the reviews are like really good. It seems like kind of an easy slam dunk. And this trailer kind of fucking rules. My biases aside, I'm definitely giving this a life. Where we at?
But I would definitely agree with you. I think it looks. I mean, number one, it's a very fascinating concept for a story, and the fact that it actually happened is insane. I like that it was kind of a short trailer. Like it's not like a 2.5 minute Marvel trailer with it's me, Scroobly Doggus. You remember?
Anna Kendrick turning into the Red Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. No, I give it a life too. I think it's gonna be an interesting watch. I really hope they just kind of go all in with the fact that this is an insane story and that it actually happened.
How about you, Dav?
I think it looks pretty interesting, but just out of principle, I'm gonna have to give it a death because of Anna Kendrick.
No, you have your weaknesses as well, my friend.
You need to get new women to obsess over, my friend.
At least I'm consistent. I'm
Yeah,
not
you're
flake
loyal.
about it.
You're loyal,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Wait, do you have a picture with Anna Kendrick? Have you taken a picture with her?
No.
He's like, I've taken a picture through her window, but
Well, you took a picture with Fallout Girl.
With Ella Purnell, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if the opportunity presented itself, I would. I mean, if Anna Kendrick were at a convention, you could pay $500 to hear her fart through a walkie-talkie. I'd buy 2 tickets.
And that's why I'm giving this trailer a death.
No, I think she was cast as the lead, and the director dropped out, and she was like, "Fuck it, I'll give it a try." So I think it's honestly a pretty cool, unexpected actor to auteur switch, and it got people really liked it at the festivals it was at. So I guess that's a good sign. She seems like she's kind of stepped back from acting a bit. She isn't quite, you know, like in as many movies a year as she used to be. So I wonder if this is the start of a little paradigm shift. If we're going to see blank check director Anna Kendrick arc coming on, I'm fascinated to see how that goes. So 3 lives for Woman of the Hour. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for cooperating.
No.
Trailer number 2. Trailer number 2 is The Eternal Life of Goldman, which is a 2D platformer, kind of seemingly inspired by DuckTales, where you play as a little old man and you explore eldritch abomination, fantasy-scapes, and you bounce on his cane like a DuckTales. As someone who would call DuckTales Remastered one of his favorite games, outside the fact that the art can be a little flat at times, I think this looks fucking amazing. The trailer says this is coming to Switch, which means even though it doesn't have a release date yet, it must be soon. Because if your game's coming to Switch, it's kind of like TikTok, So I don't know if it means before this year's over, as if this year didn't have enough game releases. But this is a very fast buy for me. I'm going to give this life. This looks rad as hell.
It might be at that partner direct thing they're doing.
Oh yeah, that's tomorrow as we record this, so we'll be a little out of step because this probably won't be edited till then tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited for a new Uncle Scrooge I also give it a life because the art style looks cool. I am a little sick and tired of indie Metroidvanias, so I'm hoping that it does very much lean into how DuckTales Remastered was, because I agree that was a ton of fun to play. And I like the art style. I like the cool, weird, like beating heart room. Like that's absolutely my shit. So I give this one a life too.
Yeah, this is the real Silk song we've been waiting for.
Oh yeah.
I'll be honest, it doesn't really look like my type of game, but I think the animation is very nice and the concept is neat and unique. It just looks very creatively driven, and I appreciate that. So I'm gonna give it a life.
All right. I'll roll with that. That takes us to Rooster Fighter, which everyone's going to call it. It's an anime coming to Adult Swim. I've seen the manga floating around here and there. I never really got a chance to delve into it, though, so I'm a little excited for it. It looks like Fist of the North Star by way of Chicken Run, I suppose. This rooster is going to fight some people in what looks like a post-apocalypse. It's been a... Yeah. Oh yeah, demons too. Yeah. Oh yeah. Gonna be life for me. No complaints here.
Yeah, this looks absolutely insane. And like I think it's one thing to make like a story about a chicken just like fighting these fucking creatures, and it's another thing to make it with animation like that. Like I'm glad they're going like full in. So I give this one a life. I'm excited to watch it.
Yep, it was the year of the deer, and now it's the year of the cock. I'm giving it a life.
It's coming to Adult Swim too, and I feel like it's been a while since they've done like not their own anime. They didn't make it, but like hoisting anime on their platform like that. Between this and Uzumaki, which I think is next month.
Something like that.
Pretty soon.
Yeah. Sure you'll hear all about that from us, because that's been anticipated. That's been like, since 2019 they've been working on that?
Just about, yeah.
Sheesh.
When are we getting a Dog Ningen anime adaptation?
No.
Come on, Year of the Dog, 2026. Let's see it.
Alright, well, on that, I hope nobody Googles what that actually is.
What? Toast and Roast canceled after 3 seasons.
Oh yeah, I guess, anyway, well, that brings us to our... Oh wait, well, I was gonna pass it to Will, but we do have a small roundup of things we've all watched. 3 movies. First one is Maxxine. Because, Dav, you mentioned I got my picture with Ella Purnell, and we landmarked the occasion by going to see Maxxine. Which I was all amped about, because Ty West's X movies are some favorites of mine. I think Pearl is probably one of my favorite scary movies ever. And so Maxxine was going to round out the trilogy, and it is fine. It is okay.
Yeah, I've never, I don't have the same, emotional attachment to the X movies as I think both y'all do, but I mean, I think it's because I didn't have, such high expectations. I liked it. I like the, set dressings especially. I will say, though, easily, possibly top 10 worst plot twists in cinema history.
Oh, yeah, we're on the same page there.
I wouldn't say I have a lot of emotional attachment to X or Pearl. I mean, I like those movies. I especially like how X just kind of feels like a pretty earnest, straightforward slasher. And they both kind of have a very unique vibe going for them that I think this movie doesn't have at all. It feels very out of place compared to those 2 movies, and I don't know. I feel like the whole like there were a lot of fears about how they were going to use the Night Stalker thing. And I think it just straight up shouldn't have been a fucking plot point, because, it's not necessarily that it's handled in poor taste, it's just, not handled at all.
Yeah.
And overall, I'm sick of the whole fucking, the 80s. Don't you remember the 80s? Remember the good old 80s? Hashtag the 80s. Stranger Things. I'm so sick of that vibe, and I just cannot wait for us to fucking move past it already. But yeah, overall, it was fine. Like Mia Goth does a very good job in this, but just overall, it was fine.
She's always good. And from what we hear, didn't beat the shit out of one of the extras on the set of the film.
I was gonna say, it's nice that, like, it's vindicated.
A friend of mine does work on Jimmy Kimmel, and we grabbed coffee recently, and I was like, and she said she met Mia Goth, and I was like, is Mia Goth scary? And she's just like, no, she just has, like, a baby doll voice, and it's fine. She's actually very nice. But no, yeah, like, because I guess it's been like a month. We can do more than a month since this movie. We can do spoilers. Because are we talking about the same plot twist that it's her dad that's killing people?
Yeah, and he's just like, it's the show that the Lord and the movies are bad and
what's so is that was just like kind of a neat background detail in X and Pearl, is that her dad is a evangelical, like, blowhard, and I think that's all it needed to be. And it just feels like it just takes it to this like rinky-dink fucking climax that I was not invested in. I thought that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Man, I think this movie, because I think the thing is, they filmed X, had a little leftover money and time, and said, well, let's make Pearl while we're here. So Maxxine, because those two movies were pretty successful in their niches, so I think Maxxine just had this, like, insane budget that they never should have had, because there's just too many characters and too many fucking set pieces. You go on basically a Universal Studios tour with Elizabeth Debicki, who's like, that's the Psycho house.
It's the Psycho house from Psycho.
Family bias, but I do love seeing the Psycho house.
It's nice, but also she points to it. What if she just points to it and said, those are the Flower Brothers?
Nobody listening is going to understand what we're talking about, Tommy. Come on.
That you and I had the shared experience of seeing the Ice Climbers for the first time in a context of a mugshot on the Smash Brothers Melee box art. So not seeing that they're wearing parkas and seeing their little hoods and thinking they were flowers.
Yeah, let us know, audience, if you also had that experience of thinking they were the Flower Brothers.
They seem like they'd be just like some quirky Kirby side characters or something. Just Kirby comes across a couple of fucking sunflowers.
They are very cute looking, but they're also kind of scary.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, so, because it was like Kevin, and like, I think every actor in this does like a fine job. Like, maybe, I think Kevin Bacon was like a little goofy for my taste, but whatever. But it's like they all talk to the camera for like an expanded amount of time. And Maxxine is just in this very passive role where, even though Mia Goth, I agree, is still good in it, her modus operandi in the film is to stay quiet so she doesn't give herself away, which makes sense logically, but in the movie, all she does is like stare at people, I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Liked Lily Collins, the little baby doll actress girl who like does the fake scream, but and it's like you meet these characters for a scene and then they fucking die. Halsey is in there for like half a second and she fucking dies. I think it was just kind of a mess because they just like had such a huge opportunity, and if I were Ty West, I would have made a third film somehow, maybe a little bigger, if not the same size as X and Pearl, and donated the rest of the money. I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Most of the kills aren't very interesting either.
Oh.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end, where it's like, I kind of laughed when the cop lady came back and she had like a crucifix in her eye or something and was just like screaming at her. Like, that's just silly.
It was so funny. It gave Jenna Ortega with the knife in her eye in the new Sabrina Carpenter video.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. Yeah. I kind of liked when they crushed Kevin Bacon in the car compactor, or the trash compactor.
Yeah.
I'd say that was the best kill of all of them, but, like, I'd say Pearl and X both have, like, a handful of memorable kills. Whereas I'd say that's the only really worthwhile one in Maxxine, which is kind of a bummer.
Well, there's also the ball crushing, even if that's not really a kill, but it was like squeamish.
Yeah, true. Fucking random Charlie Chaplin looking guy. Or was it Buster Keaton? Who's dressed up as?
This is some silent film era guy.
Yeah. I guess if I had like a big piece of praise, I think it has a really, really good final shot. Like, I really like the image they hang the credits on. Do you both remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I thought that was like the coolest image in the movie, but it was quite literally a little too late because we were like, well, time to go.
It's not as good as the Pearl final shot.
No, that's legendary.
Where she beats the fuck out of Joy.
Ugh. Fucking way too deep inside joke number 2. Alright. Well, Maxxine. Womp womp. Can't wait to see Mia Goth in Blade in, I don't know, 50 years? Never.
There's only ever going to be one Blade, Tommy.
Yeah.
That's a good segue.
Of which, yeah.
Yeah, into Deadpool and Wolverine. I am a well-known... If Deadpool has 0 haters, I've died. Let me just be, like, straight up there. I fucking hate that guy. I hate the way he walks. I hate the way he talks. I hate the way he breaks the fourth wall. I thought this movie was kind of fun.
Get a load of this guy. Looks directly at the camera.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I agree. I thought this was I thought it was a lot of fun. And it looked like all the actors were having fun. I thought the cameos were like actually well used and not just Multiverse of Madness. The smartest man alive, Reed Richards, instantly dies.
Man, I was gonna say, I was always like, look, if you're gonna have a cameo crossover fest, it almost makes the most sense for Deadpool to be the genesis of that in some ways.
Yeah. And I felt like, it was, spoilers, but I think it's kind of well known now. Bringing back Blade and Elektra were cool, but I thought Channing Tatum as Gambit was just like a ton of fun. If they were gonna do like a cameo where someone instantly dies, I think the one they went with was a very good choice. Hugh Jackman is great as like Wolverine as always, and it's great to see him wear the suit too. I thought it was a blast.
It's maybe some of his best work is Wolverine.
Yeah, no, I agree. Way better than that stupid Logan movie.
I'm gonna kill you.
I think a friend of mine referred to him as having his planes, trains, and automobiles moment where he just has his fucking meltdown and yells at Deadpool. It's maybe that. Like, their fight in the car is so fucked. I just, like... Because I think the key to making Deadpool a little more palatable for me personally is giving him someone he can play off of like Wolverine. And we've had, like, Cable and Domino, but something about, like, the pent-up anger of Hugh Jackman here just made that moment really sing for me.
That moment
to the
felt
point
like,
that he was kind of...
like a sex scene.
Like
an unnecessary sex scene being fed to us by makers.
Fucking makers. Fucking the X-Men, they'll take anybody. I loved Emma Corrin. They played Cassandra Nova, who's the villain of this.
She was quite fun, honestly. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think she stands out very much like as a villain overall, but like a lot of Marvel villains have been kind of lacking. But like, I think that she does a pretty good job.
Yeah, I wanted more of her and less of the fuck ass TVA shit because I think I think this movie's at its worst when it needs to be the MCU for like 10-minute increments, and like everybody loves when Wolverine and Deadpool step into the generator and hold hands, but I'm like, that's like the epitome of a bucket and Marvel climax where they say science words and you accept that they have to take an explosion for no reason or whatever. I thought that was kind of the movie at its weakest, but otherwise, when they were like, I thought the Wasteland shit was just so fucking immaculate. I was really surprised by how much fun I was having.
And I really like the, I mean, like, every fight with Deadpool and Wolverine was awesome, but, like, the basically Rejects versus Cassandra Nova's armies was really fucking cool.
I love, like, Ray Park Toad is one of my weird autism favorites, you know, like as a kid, I was like, oh, that's my guy, is Ray Park's completely silent Toad. And I saw he was going to be in this, and I was like, oh, he's going to die in like 2 seconds. But he, like, has a good fight with Blade. There's worse ways to go out.
Yeah, no, and the scene, like, with all the Wolverine, or all the Deadpools against Deadpool and Wolverine was really cool. I love that.
That's fucking great.
I did think the cameos were handled a lot better in this than they were in Multiverse of Madness, which was basically just like a lineup of people you recognize. They kind of do that here, but like in a tongue-in-cheek kind of making fun of it way.
Well, it strikes me like the actors are actually in the same room this time.
Yeah, this definitely felt like, you know, this is a post-COVID movie. People are actually making movies together again.
Yeah.
As much as I didn't like the TVA shit, I gotta give props to Matthew McFadden as Mr. Paradox. You gotta, like, if you want to make a Tomlet, you gotta break some Gregs, you know what I'm saying? But beyond that, Daphne Keane coming back was awesome. Channing Tatum Gambit was really great. I would watch an entire movie of him.
I hope they don't take the wrong lesson. Because I think the whole joke of him is that Channing Tatum as Gambit is the dumbest fucking casting decision of all time. And he looks fucking stupid.
He looks stupid, it's incredibly dumb, and I want 2 hours of it. Henry Cavill as the Calverine fucking sucked. I hope we get less of those.
Yeah, I really don't like stuff like that.
That was just fucking stupid.
What about the Sabrina Carpenter Wolverine, as I call him? Because he's like 4'11". He's tiny.
You know what?
Comic accurate.
Just make that Wolverine from now on. Just do it.
I guess, so tell me if I was the only one who was kind of confused. Because, like, they feed people to, like, the big void monster out there in the wasteland. And during the they're all fighting. They kill Juggernaut. They kill most bad guys. Wolverine and Deadpool get the fuck out of there. And then that big, like, void, whatever it is, the void monster, rushes in. And it kind of looks like, you know, Gambit and Daphne Keane and them kind of accept their fate. I took that to mean they all died at that point, kind of off screen. But then she's rejoining them after. Where were we with that?
I guess
because Laura was there after.
Yeah, I guess it only ate him. Or, I guess them.
No, I mean, I think they all survived it. I'm pretty sure it was kind of just like a reversal of expectations that, they're dumb cameos, so they're gonna get killed off like in Multiverse of Madness, but they actually all survive.
Okay, alright. I mean, I'm open to it. It seemed like, because they said they made such a sticking point, like Jennifer Gardner was like, oh, I want my proper ending. Like, it didn't even seem like they cared if they died, so I was like, pretty much okay with it if that's how they got sent off, but if it is what it is, you know. I don't think we're seeing them again.
It's not like they're going to do anything with them, yeah.
Oh, yeah. go out on a time of your life montage in the credits. I thought it was kind of a sweet way to send off the last vestiges of the Foxverse.
I'm glad that it like got a nice send off. Like, I'm not even attached to the Foxverse, but when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is making me sad.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, I thought, for like a movie that almost seems tailor-made to be my least favorite thing ever, because I'm grumpy about all of its core elements, I think it's like pretty much the best case scenario of what it is.
It's too bad they're not learning their lesson, and Spider-Man 4 is all but confirmed to be a multiverse movie.
Oh. Fucking, I love...
is coming back.
I fucking love that new Spider-Man animated series whenever we get a glimpse at it, and they're like, we want to make this quintessentially Spider-Man. It's like, well, Doctor Strange is here.
Mm-hmm. Looks awful.
Yeah, that Spider-Man animated series looks like repulsive.
But speaking of Fox and the Disney acquisition of it, we also all saw Alien Romulus, which is a movie that I feel people couldn't not be annoying about, because I think it has really rough edges, but it has really good things about it in its own right. Sorry, I got like a bubble in my chest. It's just been one of those movies that's been hard to separate from all the nostalgia discourse. I got a real kick out of it. I think that, there are chunks that are pretty rough, and that is when it, is pandering to a real nostalgia audience, but it does shit with, like, xenomorphs and alien ships that the franchise hasn't done before, with zero gravity and space, like, ice crystals and shit. I think Kaylee Spaney is a fucking rock star. I think she owns the fucking screen whenever she's on it. I'm a big fan. I thought this was kind of... When it was knocking out of the park, it was, and when it wasn't, I was kind of willing to meet it halfway.
I thought, like, first of all, I'm, like, big into, practical effects, and this movie was, like, really good at them.
Mm-hmm.
I loved all the face huggers, and, like, seeing that, like when they're in the room with the face huggers, and they're, like, trying to be quiet, and you can see them, like, lift their little, like, arms up. And it's like, yeah, those aren't puppets, but they're animatronics, and they're really good animatronics. But yeah, I thought, like, overall, it was a lot of fun. The effects were great. The aliens were good. The weird, like, the tall baby was, like, disgusting and made me nauseous, in a good way.
Turned out to be a metaphor for incest babies, too.
Oh, yeah. And like I'm kind of with you, Tommy. I agree that there are some moments that just like the fact that there's a scene where the android tells them, okay, you cannot like get excited and you cannot make a single sound or these face huggers will come and like kill you. And then the guy gets a phone call and he's like, hey, where are you? Are you okay?
Speaking of the android, that character Andy is like probably my favorite part of the movie. He was great.
Yeah, I liked him. I'm sure I'm not alone in reading him as a bit autism coded.
Yeah, I know. I felt a little bad because like when I first saw him on the screen, I'm like, oh, it's cool. This is like an autistic character in Alien, and then it's like, oh no, he's like actually a robot. But I mean, props to them for giving a robot autism. It wasn't easy, and then promptly taking it away and then giving it back to him.
I'm sorry, you make it sound like they load up some autism in a needle.
Honestly,
like they did surgery on a grave.
Some great kills in this too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Outside of one, there was one I really hated.
Which one?
The one where he kind of just like lays down under the acid that's dripping on him and then seems to just spontaneously combust for some reason.
I wanted to see that guy like get disintegrated.
I really like. They do a good job setting up Chekhov's guns. Like, there's one girl who is kind of screwing around with the X-ray, and of course she gets a chest burster. And in like a really stupid but really fun way, she like puts the X-ray to herself. Like, like shit like that fucking rocks.
It was neat, but it kind of leads into another complaint I have about this, which is that the trailer spoiled too much.
Yeah, I don't disagree. There's one thing the trailers didn't spoil, and people weren't happy about it, and to be clear, I don't think it's good, is that the Ian Holm deepfake, yeah. They bring back Rook as a deepfake CGI character, and like... Yeah, and... if it was, and I'm not saying it would ever be okay, but like there's almost a shred that works in that it's supposed to be a little uncanny and creepy and weird looking, but it's a gross practice, and I'm kind of glad people got mad about it. Granted, this movie made a lot of money, so I don't know.
It's truly like the most frightening part of the movie because in a way it's the only part of the movie that actually can affect you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, he's not even the same character from the original Alien. It's so just weird. They did not need to reuse him.
No, they really didn't.
It's just the same model of android.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. I heard a lot of people were saying it should just be like a second Andy, and that would have been kind of a cool complex. It's like, yeah, that would have been cool. Like,
that would have been neat, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I mean, this is probably my third favorite movie in the franchise, but like, it's still a pretty wide rift between this and my second favorite, the original Alien.
Yeah. Fuck. There's something. I feel like there's something else I wanted to. Oh, I think I would even forgive the Ian Holm thing before I would fucking forgive Andy saying "Get away from her, you bitch." I thought that was awful.
That was really terrible.
Ugh.
People cheered in my theater at that part.
Did they at ours? I kind of can't remember.
Did they have what?
I was asking Dav if they cheered at our screening.
I heard somebody cheer when the android showed up.
No, I feel like that is objectively worse.
And I think the guy who was sitting next to me did do a little clap when he said, "You bitch."
Ugh.
But
Jesus
it wasn't as bad as the Deadpool screening, I think.
No. Our Deadpool screening was pretty in order, huh, Will? Like, it wasn't such a sweaty crowd.
Yeah, which I was honestly very surprised about, because it was a midnight screening.
Right. Midnight screening where we walked home after at like 3 a.m, and I was like, y'all were like making a bunch of noise, and I was like alerted to the vagrants around us, like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Tommy, you were in
Nobody's
downtown
here,
Burbank, California.
but who is
You're
that?
fine. Alien Romulus. It was cool, except when it wasn't, but I'd watch it again. Kaylee Spaney's arms. Super toned and buff. Best supporting actress. Will, before Dav can tell me to shut up, it's your turn.
As an incest.
Toast or roast.
Anyways, something equally horrific to what y'all are saying. I recently but read Marvel's Darkhold series, and I'm gonna toast it. You've probably seen like an image from this, and it's like, if you see the image on its own, it's gonna be like haha funny, but then when you learn the context, it like kind of makes you sick to your stomach. Basically what it's about is it's a like straight a 2 comic issue about Doctor Strange, or not Doctor Strange, even better, Doctor Doom gets the Darkhold and tries to control it. In his arrogance, he can't. So Scarlet Witch calls upon like 5 chosen warriors, which are Black Bolt, the Wasp, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Blade. And they're like, okay, so now you have to go into the basically Darkhold dimension that makes people crazy when you like go into it. And of course they go into it and they become crazy. And then the rest is an issue each that are just little vignettes. If they justify it in the last comment being like, oh, here's some flashes of your life if they got like that fucked up. But it is just very much like little vignettes about the characters if everything went wrong. They range from it's okay to oh my god, this is really good. Wasp is about that she is Wasp on the Avengers, taking over for Hank Pym because he's a horrible person. And eventually Hank Pym's like lack of emotion and love drives her to stab him multiple times with a kitchen knife. And that's just kind of that. It's just what if, what if the Wasp killed her husband? Blade is also like more of a basic one. It's if Dracula took over the world, made everyone into vampires. Now Blade is hunting. He's basically like indiscriminately killing everyone. So like he kills humans too. And so the main vampires we follow are like, oh shit, he's probably got like some type of demon in him. And then the plot twist in the end is that this is Blade just like kind of normally. And he says that because the world is already gone, it doesn't need someone to save it. It needs a ruler. Which is pretty cool. Black Bolt's is pretty simple. So do you guys know Black Bolt's brother Maximus, like the jealous one?
I actually don't know much about him, no.
You just need to know that Black Bolt had a brother who like wants to usurp him. And so the story is about Black Bolt wakes up on like a deserted planet and just remembers his like vizier saying that his brother was trying to like stage a coup, but later on through the story we learn that the Black Bolt we're following actually is the brother, and that to stage the coup he got surgery to look exactly like Black Bolt and get his powers, but it went too far, and he also got Black Bolt's memories, so now he's like just kind of another Black Bolt, and the original Black Bolt is just like still there. So it's like it's better written. But that leads me to my 2 personal favorites, which are Darkhold Spider-Man and Darkhold Iron Man. I'll talk about Iron Man first. Spider-Man first, because I think that's my second favorite. Darkhold Spider-Man takes place in a world where something happened with Molecule Man. We don't know what, but there's this thing happening all around the planet called the Unraveling, where people are like falling apart. But Spider-Man can keep them together temporarily with webs, but the webs only last for 3 hours, so Spider-Man is having to go out every 3 hours and web up all of New York so the people don't like fall apart and dissolve.
Jesus.
Now, in this story, it's him and Gwen's anniversary, and Gwen's like, hey, Spider-Man, don't be late, 7:30, I'll see you then. And, obviously Spider-Man's, like, running around and, like, doing Spider-Man stuff. There's this really creepy moment where, like, he's fighting Doc Ock, and Doc Ock's like, face me, Spider-Man, I am your nemesis, and all that shit. And then, like, his arms fall out because he's, like, dissolving, and he just, like, curls up and is like, please don't laugh at me, please don't laugh at me. No, it gets worse.
Oh, no.
He so then like Spider-Man puts him back together and he's like, listen, Otto, like I understand this, but you gotta like stop kidnapping people. We gotta all work together. And as Spider-Man's flying away, Doc Ock just goes, "I was Octavius."
Oh man. Uh See,
And
I was gonna say the concept as a whole fucking sounds nuts, but I think in a lesser hands of a lesser writer, I wouldn't be having this reaction.
yeah, it gets a little worse too, because Spidey meets Venom, and he's like fighting, and then the Venom symbiote is like, "Peter, you gotta stop. Eddie is gone." And Venom opens up, and Eddie Brock is rotting inside.
Oh no.
And so there's like stuff like that. Also, he meets Mr. Fantastic because Mr. Fantastic is like, made out of plastic. So he's like, "Oh yeah, this is no big deal to me. I can just kind of put myself back together again." Anyways, Peter, here's this stuff I've been developing, kind of like made out of my atoms that should help the universe stay together a little better. And Peter's like, "Oh fuck, I'm late for my date with Gwen. I'll just like I'll talk to you about this later." Throughout this story, while he's dealing with the bad guys, Gwen's calling him and he's like, "Peter, you're not going to be late, are you? Like, Peter, you need to be home by 7:30." And then after he's like in his typical Parker lateness, he's 15 minutes late. And that was enough time for his webs to dissolve, and we see like Gwen at the table just completely fallen apart.
Oh no.
But that's not where it ends.
Oh no.
It ends with, because now Spider-Man's fucking nuts, and so he basically what happens, and it's done really well in the comic, like revealing it. But basically, he uses the stuff that Mr. Fantastic made to hold the world together temporarily. But then at the end, it's revealed that the stuff holding the universe together isn't the stuff Mr. Fantastic made. It is Mr. Fantastic. And like you see Peter on like a web made of his flesh as like he just goes, "Peter, please, it hurts."
Oh my god.
And it's just like, gulp.
That sounds fucking psychotic.
Well, that brings me to Darkhold Iron Man.
Oh no.
Which, like I said, is probably my personal favorite, although Spider-Man is a very close second. Basically, the concept is that Tony Stark has gotten like injured so much that he makes a suit that's like a mobile hospital. And so he like stays in the suit for a little bit, and then he's like talking with Pepper because they're going out, and she's like taking it off, and she's like, "All right, so I'll take off the leg. Oh, great. Now let me take off the arm." And as she takes off like the arm gauntlet, it rips his skin off with it. And it's shown that there was a glitch in the suit to basically make it so that it healed you in the most like rational possible way. So it's like iron skin is better than regular skin. Let's heal the body so that the like muscles and tendons are physically attached to the suit.
Oh god.
And so they're like, "Ah, fuck, like what do we do? Tony, we'll be right back. We'll get you some food." And then when they come back, Tony has the suit on again. And they're like, "Tony, what the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, "What are you talking? I don't remember putting the suit back on."
Ugh.
And this is the one you've probably seen. He says like, "Pepper, what's wrong?" And his skin is just dissolving out of the holes of the classic Iron Man suit. It's like
no.
pouring down. And then basically the suit like continues to work, and they take an x-ray of him, and the suit has like shoved wires into his brain. His skull is only like half there. Like they describe what's inside Tony's suit as like indiscriminate flesh. And like that's what the suit is doing to him. And then it's like Tony goes crazy because he's like, "Oh, well, this is the better thing. There's no disease or anything. We can all live inside these suits." But there's like scenes of like Pepper watching CCTV footage of his lab, and he kidnaps Happy and Jarvis and shoves them both in a suit, and you can hear like bones cracking and screaming and like flesh pouring out.
This is just Five Nights at Freddy's.
But then, like, not better. But then, like,
Five Nights at Tony's.
Yeah, that's what happens when you go over there. No, I don't want to. Never mind. But like, after 3 days of that, they start just like mindlessly, like, doing what Tony says, like a drone. And then Pepper's like, oh, fuck, he probably wants to do this to the entire world. And just as she says that, millions of suits pop down over the world and basically, like, shove people inside of them.
Oh.
So, and then the last scene is just Tony says, Pepper. And then you see that he's, like, built a special suit for her.
Oh, no.
Like, the main Darkhold stuff, it's got Doctor Doom, and he's awesome in it, but it's really those side stories that make, like, a huge difference. Because those are just, like, straight-up body horror shit, and they're done very well.
I was gonna say, that's, like, an absurdly good premise for, like, a series of what-if comics. Kind of takes me back to, like, the Dr. Destiny stuff from Justice League.
Oh, yeah. No, I could definitely see that. Yeah, I guess, I mean, they technically are what if, because it's like, what if, I guess, all these 5 heroes were driven crazy, and
what if
this
shit
is how
was
it was
fucked?
done. Yeah, exactly. But the art is really good. The Iron Man art in particular, like I said, it's his classic suit. So seeing, like something kind of very familiar in the classic Iron Man suit, and seeing it used as, like, a body horror machine that, like, dissolves your flesh and turns it into iron and shoves, like, wires in your brain and, like, takes away who you are just because Tony Stark fucking wanted it is, like, horrific.
It's fucking bananas. I'd check those out, honestly. That sounds fucking great.
I mean, obviously it's a toast, so I'm recommending them, but I think they're some of the most, like, unique Marvel comics out there. Like, they are horror comics, but, like, not Multiverse of Madness horror comics, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like them quite a bit. And even if, like I said, the Wasp and Black Bolt and Blade ones don't hit as hard, they're still good. Yeah, makes my stomach fucking churn, but in a good way.
Well, I'm writing that one down, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I guess if no one else has anything to add, I'll pass it to you, Davey.
All right, let's kick things off with a little bit of a roast. This is a pair of films that, frankly, I don't have a lot to say about other than that I hate them. They are Twisted Pair and Fateful Findings. Twisted Pair, you could call them, of awful movies, directed, written, produced by, and starring Neil Breen. Which is like if Tommy Wiseau was lame. All of them look like they were filmed in a school library for, like, a film project. They pretty much entirely filmed in front of a green screen. And they have the most incomprehensible plots imaginable. I could not possibly begin to recite to you how these movies go, other than Neil Breen's character is probably a super powerful hacker, maybe with a twin brother who is just him wearing, like, a fake beard from Hobby Lobby or something. And he attacks the government and he wins. But one thing that I can say is that Fateful Findings spawned the how could you do this, how could you commit suicide meme, and I do appreciate it for that.
Yeah, honestly, I can't believe you've done this. I cannot believe you've done this.
How could you have done this? How could you?
You know,
I guess they're calling it Unalive now. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was asking the same question, Neil Breen.
Truly the saddest movie scene of all time, and definitely the most well performed. It's really a wonder that this guy is not more popular than he is. And you know what? Twisted Pair.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say Twisted Pair got a sequel that I don't know if it's like released widely yet, but it's called Cade the Tortured Crossing, and it premiered last year.
And it's got 110% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Apparently it premiered at Alamo Drafthouse last year. Great.
Well, of course.
I am morbidly curious, honestly, to watch more of his movies, and that's, I think, kind of the weird thing about Neil Breen is, like, I absolutely despise these films, and yet I kind of want to see more. I just want to see how low he can sink.
Don't you know how far he can rise?
Sure.
It is one of those, like, theater of the, like, grotesque things where it gets a lot of... Excuse me, oh.
Tommy, stop faking COVID for the podcast.
It gets a lot of attention for how bad it is, and, you know, and, like, I'm always down for, like, you know, having a riff, just, like, laughing at something, but at a certain point, it's, like, I don't know, it's, like, almost kind of frustrating to me that, like, a culture gets built around who can make the worst of something. Like, it almost becomes a fucking challenge, and then we just have a bunch of fucking Sharknado bullshit nobody wants to watch.
There really was like a period of time where they were making a Sharknado like every year just to see how bad of a movie they could make. And I just think that the best bad movies are the ones that are made with the intention of being good, and they just turn out to be shit. And I feel like maybe Neil Breen started that way, but I think he's pretty self-aware at this point.
Well, like, and like the thing about The Room is that no matter what Tommy Wiseau, he denies it. You can tell he thought that was like the most upsetting relationship drama anyone's ever made. Like, he thought that was genius.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
And watching that movie in theaters is actually a fun time.
Oh my god.
Water.
I just that's the kind of, like, whenever I'm in a situation of like groupthink like that, when everyone is kind of on the same page, I gotta be a little stinker, as you may both recall.
Holy fuck!
Holy fuck!
First of all, we were all toasted when we saw that movie. So I wasn't
I was fresh out of the hospital.
Oh yeah, that's right. we all got toasted and went to see that. And at first my idea for a bit was to act like I bought a ticket wanting to watch it and to go like, hey, keep it down, I'm trying to watch this. And then eventually I had the idea to like whisper to Will and just be like, hey, we can say whatever we want, right? Like, we can swear in these. And then I would just try and time really awkward, like, oh shit.
You just started like performing a Tim Robinson sketch.
Yeah. I wanted to see if I could like make them mad at me for like doing it my own. I don't know. Like, I wanted to see if I could like ruin the Room screening where you can really say anything. Just see if I could push that envelope a little.
You wanted to ruin it for everyone?
Yeah. Because if there's no rules, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily want to turn this into like a conversation about The Room, which is a much better experience, but I think the point that I want to make is like, that is a better experience. There are dedicated Neil Breen fans for sure, but like, nobody's turning up to those with the same enthusiasm that they are to The Room screening. Like, these movies are just way less fun to watch, and that being said, like I said, I want to see more because it's awful in a uniquely bad way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have to say about this twisted pair of films, unless y'all have anything to add to it, because we did all watch these together.
I can think of another twisted pair.
Oh, what's that?
My penis.
Testicular torsion. You got anything, Will?
Besides the fact that those movies have some of the best line readings in cinema, I think that about covers it.
I don't like the fact that we have somebody here who actually enjoys these movies.
God, fucking, I can't remember the exact wording, but like when the lady was like, virtual reality, the corrupted version.
Yeah, and she just like hands it to him.
Yeah.
And it's just like
Like, here you
overlaid
go.
on top of their hands.
Man, I
Shit
don't
like
even,
that is pretty good, but
I was also toasted when we watched these, and I don't even remember them all that vividly, to be honest. Like, I
there's
remember...
not much to remember.
No, yeah, it's like...
They're nonsensical. There's nothing there.
I think they were so wild that in my state of mind at that point, I thought I would have like had a meltdown if I kept watching. So I had to like distract myself to a certain extent.
I think the end of I think it was Fateful Findings is the one where he's like making the speech in front of the Capitol or whatever. And like all the politicians are like committing suicide one by one.
Oh Jesus.
That just like that feels like peak Breen to me. That feels like everything that he goes for with these movies kind of distilled into one scene.
Ugh.
Is he looks cool and he takes down the government. And you know what? Good for him. Good for him. We all need our hobbies.
Kingsman politician head exploding scene.
Yeah, this one had less anal sex.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But enough about that. I'm passing it on to you, Tommy.
Alright. Well, speaking of like underground film and like fucked up different film, I watched a little movie I really liked recently called Cecil B. Demented. So this is a film by John Waters, who is a famous director known by his nickname, the Pope of Trash, which I think Will's going to give that role to somebody in the Discord any moment now.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's my understanding to some extent that he was an openly gay filmmaker in like the 70s, and to kind of offset the scrutiny he might receive for that, he made the most disgusting fucking films he possibly could. As if to say, like, don't pay attention to my sexuality, pay attention to this actor eating actual dog shit. So his first film was Pink Flamingos, which is this extremely famous small indie picture that we gotta get toasted and watch sometime. I'm saving it for a special occasion. We'll just have to see. And he got a lot of fame after that. He made films like Hairspray, which was adapted into the musical we all know, and Serial Mom. But I think Cecil B. Demented is my favorite movie he's made. It is about a small crew of underground filmmakers who kidnap a famous actress from one of her premieres, and they basically torture her into making a movie that decries mainstream media. Like, they're a bunch of like hooligans that are like they have the names of Dario Argento and David Lynch tattooed on themselves, and they're like, down with mainstream cinema. They're like, every A24 bro wants to think they are. They are absolutely. I think this film was made in, I think, 2001, and I think it has aged well in that they kind of predicted the future of how film would be, but also poorly in that it's not as clever as it thinks it is anymore, in that it's saying what everybody is now. I would say that. But I think it's very fun. Basically, they just run around with cameras, and they bar. And here's the thing: as I describe this, you may be thinking, why hasn't this been re-released or reacclaimed in in the context that I kind of mentioned? And I think the reason for that is that no small part of this film's screen time is the underground filmmakers barging into movie theaters showing Patch Adams or superhero movies or whatever and shooting people inside. Is that they say,
good thing they didn't get that right. People shooting others in superhero movies.
In movie theaters and on film sets.
Hmm.
And they film it and they say it's like their chaotic media. I just think, and it's a hard film to describe. It's like, I think my favorite character is Maggie Gyllenhaal is in it as the satanic goth chick Raven. And it's just weird to see, she would go on to be in, The Dark Knight and stuff, but she's just doing this weird John Waters picture. I think it's Kathy Griffith is the actress they kidnap, and they gradually turn her over to their side. There's just these amazing, fucked up, I don't know, he's the Pope of Trash for a reason. There's a character who describes their backstory of, getting molested by all of their relatives, just to make it as depraved as possible. I'm having a really hard time describing it because it's a very strange movie, but I do think it's a combination of, it's very cathartic in that we do live in an era these characters would really hate. They hold up a film festival. They find a bunch of executives on a rooftop bar, and there's did you take the subtitles off this foreign release? And they're like, oh no, the audiences don't go for subtitles. Shot in the face. Did you greenlight another video game adaptation? Shot in the face.
These would be the most annoying people on Letterboxd today, basically.
Yes, exactly. So in some ways you agree with them, but you also take catharsis in the fact that they are kind of the butt of the joke. They're taking it way too far. I think it is John Waters poking fun at himself. I think in the best of times you can do both. You can see where a character is coming from and exaggerate their position while also laughing about how fucking ridiculous they are. And Cecil B. Demented just felt like a time capsule that way. And I think the only reason Criterion hasn't re-released it is that it depicts many movie theater and movie set shootings. So that's a fun movie. There's a really cool climax at a drive-in theater. Is an aesthetic I really like. It's wacky. I'd recommend that one. That is Cecil B. Demented. We'll have to show it to you, you both sometime.
Yeah, it's just like Pee-wee.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. It came out in 2001. It was like a festival thing, and it made no money in the box office, which I think John Waters wouldn't have it any other way. Have you seen the clip of John Waters in Alvin and the Chipmunks?
I didn't realize he was in Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I think it's Chipwrecked or
the road.
Whichever one they get on whichever one they'd be getting on a plane. It's in an airport.
I think it's
is that the one where
probably
it's
the road
confirmed
ship.
that they're on the domestic terrorist list?
Yeah,
the no-fly list. Yeah.
And John Waters says something judgmental to Alvin, and Alvin says something like, "Don't judge me. I've seen pink flamingos."
Good one, Alvin.
Yeah. Which that is a movie about people eating shit and fucking and killing each other. So
Alvin, I bet you were getting the worst head.
Well, let's rotate it back to you.
All right. So I'm going to give another toast. Leave the roast for last.
Spoilers.
It's not a. Yeah, it's a spoiler. So during my movie night this week, I picked just 2 movies that were kind of like on my watch list. One of them was called Triangle. Triangle's a 2009 psychological thriller horror movie about a group of people who get on a boat, storm hits them, a yacht comes by, and they get on the yacht because their boat is destroyed. It's also, I mean, spoilers for a over 10-year-old movie, it's also a weird time loop movie, which I really like. There's someone on the ship that's shooting them that is revealed to be the main girl. And right after the main girl realizes that the one shooting people is her, she sees all of her friends stranded on the boat again, starting to get back on. And so there's this weird time loop where now she's like, okay, I gotta do things differently, but then she gets got and everything goes wrong, and then the third version of herself, or the version that like just got on most recently, becomes the killer, and then just like keeps looping over and over again. There's like, they mentioned Sisyphus, and I think very much like similar stuff. I think it's like done really well. I think a lot of times time loop movies are just like kind of weird or like silly. It's like that person who coughed at the beginning was actually the person whose dad was, and it's like there should just be like a simpler way to do it while still making it cool. And I feel like Triangle does that really well. Like there are cheesy moments, but like the stuff with the main character and the way that the time loop is presented kind of as a triangle, where it's the first girl, the first version of the main character goes in and sees all her friends get killed by her, so she tries to change the time loop, and in her changing the time loop, the version of herself that's like later on creates like another time loop, which is the killer time loop. And then there's also like a fourth time loop added on there because, the whole time she's like, I gotta get back to my son, I gotta get back to my son. Turns out she's a terrible mother to her disabled son, and then eventually he dies in a car crash because she was being negligent, and so she gets on the boat that she was going to again, and it starts all over again. I just think it's like done really well, and like the story is like it's predictable in the sense that you know that like, oh yeah, that's her, but then the way it like kind of layers upon itself really makes it unique.
Oh yeah. They pull off some really cool imagery with the time loop stuff. They had me gasping, and I'm not an easy gasp for movies, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, like when the red-haired girl like got shot and she was like sulking away somewhere, and then like the main girl follows her, and there's like hundreds of versions of her.
Oh yeah, that was fucking gnarly. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love shit like that.
I was gonna say you booted this
interesting things, yeah.
I was like, you booted this one up, and I feel this way about everyone in the movie night rotation. There is a certain energy of like, oh, here's a real Will movie. Like, I'm not sure I'm going to be super into this one, but like, and it's like, I just like was actually very taken in by some of its imagery choices. I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I know, like, yeah, I think everyone in the movie night rotation definitely has like their style. But I'm glad that this one hit.
I did think, like, for as good as the movie was and for, like, as interesting ideas as it had, it was kind of, like, weirdly predictable. Like, I don't know why, I was just able to see a lot of the plot points coming. Like, when they kind of first radio them at the beginning of the movie, I was like, oh, they're radioing another version of themselves.
Yeah, I do agree in that sense that, like, there were some things I saw coming, but I do feel like it kind of, like, has enough layers on top of itself that there's a lot of stuff that keeps you guessing.
And, like, for me, it wasn't even, like, whether or not I would predict it, but, like, just, I think it just makes some really strong choices with its imagery. Like, there's this kind of fake-looking boat, and I was like, but it, like, it works well within its means, how it, goes about, like, making up the main girl as she gets more and more deranged as it all goes on, and how it kind of plays with the voices outside the boat, realizing that there's a time loop kind of initiating.
Yeah, I think, like, in particular, the imagery with, like, multiple of one thing works really well in this movie. Like, when she escapes the time loop, but then, like, hits the seagull and throws it over the shore, and then it's revealed that this is a time loop because there's, like, hundreds of seagulls down there, too.
And hundreds of beavers, yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I thought it was really fun. I'm surprised that more people don't talk about this. It feels like a sci-fi movie that would, like, stick around more often, especially because, like, there's not a ton of, like, hard, I guess not science fiction, but, like, horror time loop movies. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I hope to find a few more movies like this. All right, Dev, you do the rest.
Okay. It's time for a toast, and this one is going to the comedy drama TV series Atlanta, created by Donald Glover. You know, some know Donald Glover as Childish Gambino. Some people know him as Simba. I know him as Troy from Community. And I think
Speaking of which, Troy, Simba, what's going on here?
I think that this is a very just cool TV show, I think is the best way to describe it, because it's, like I said, it's a comedy drama. There's a lot of kind of surrealism injected in, and it's, like, pretty experimental. It co-stars Zazie Beetz, Brian Tyree Henry, and Lakeith Stanfield, who plays my favorite character, Darius. And Glover himself plays Ern, who is a college dropout and a divorced father who manages his cousin's rap career. Brian Tyree Henry plays the cousin, who goes by the name Paperboy. That's his rapping name. And he kind of lives in this simultaneous hell of being, like, a good enough rapper to be hounded by randos wherever he goes to try to use him as an in to the industry. Like, people will just kind of, like, walk up to him and start rapping at him. But he's also just, like, too unlikable and controversial to really rise above where he is. So he's kind of just, like, this rapper who's good enough, but not quite reaching the heights that he's aiming for.
Hey, he's all about that paper, boy.
It's all about that paper, boy. And, you know, Lakeith Stanfield, Darius is my favorite character. He's this, like, laid back but kind of eccentric guy who's always landing himself in these really weird situations in the show. Like, if you've ever seen that, like, the meme of B-plot SpongeBob in the horror dimension, I feel like that perfectly describes him in every single episode.
You can't come up here and shoot a dog.
Sometimes it's just dumb stuff like that, or like when he gets kicked out of the VIP section of a nightclub, so he just decides to go home and start playing, like, a monkey game. And he just like says, "I'm on that Zoo Tycoon shit." but then it can escalate all the way up to, I don't think either of you have seen this episode yet. The most horrifying episode in the show is where he is the A-plot, and he just walks into this mansion because he was hired to move, like, this guy's piano. And when he walks in, there's a guy waiting for him there who looks like he's wearing somebody else's face on top of his face. I won't spoil what that means. But it is by far the most, like, dreadfully scary episode of the show.
Oh my god.
And overall,
I watched the first season. I'm sorry, I was just gonna say I watched the first season a while ago and I loved it. I don't know why I fell off, because it sounds like they just keep on, like, adding in that juice.
Absolutely, you gotta keep going. That particular episode is from the second season, and it's great.
Oh wait, is the character you're talking about also played by Donald Glover?
Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
No spoilers, but yes, that character is also played by Donald Glover, and it took me a little bit to figure that out. But yeah, I mean, overall, like I said, the episodes are pretty experimental. They're pretty varied in their tone. Some are just flat out funny, like the Justin Bieber episode.
It's Justin Bieber. See,
others are like really dramatically heavy. Like there was an episode in season 2 that was just like sad to watch. Or there's the scary one, like the one I described. And there's just like quite a bit of surreal elements in there, like the invisible car. It's just hilarious.
I was gonna say, from what I've seen, it does seem like it's very either like, oh, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, or like, oh, this is a bummer, this is upsetting.
Yeah,
and then
honestly,
sometimes it's both. Like with the invisible car episode, there are moments where I'm like, oh, dude, this is hard to watch, and then like 5 people just fly in the air after an invisible car hits them.
Well, I love that. Yeah, it does. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I love that it doesn't like hang its hat on any one niche or genre. And then when something fucking ridiculous like that happens, it kind of T-bones you, no pun intended. Just catches you really off. Like, I think the hardest I laughed is there was the shooting range scene that's played pretty much straight. And then they point to a guy shooting at a sign that says "Dad." Just like needle it, thread it right in really well.
It really is. It's like a show that can do pretty much anything. I think it's the season 3 premiere that is basically a retelling of an actual like horrifying event that happened a few years ago, and is like a what if scenario for it. And that's all I'm gonna say about it, because it is such a good episode.
Oh my god.
Where's it streaming again?
It's Hulu, right?
Yeah, I think it's Hulu.
Ah, damn it.
I mean, I don't use Hulu to watch it. I'm just saying.
That's
wink,
true.
nudge,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
overall, it's really great so far. I'm currently in the middle of season 3 and kind of steaming ahead. I know that there isn't too much left of it. Unfortunately, the show did end a couple years ago. But yeah, I've been having a great time with it.
Good show. Alright.
Okay.
Mind if I take the wheel? Alright. Well, we haven't done any games yet today, so I'll do a little gamer talk. Professional gamer. Lot in the air about Capcom and SNK being on good terms again. You know, might be a thing or two there. Maybe. Terry's in Street Fighter. He looks fucking great.
Beefy as fuck.
Oh yeah, beefy as hell. I love his character select animation at the Neo Geo arcade machine, and in his walkout, Andy will like give him a high five. Oh, he looks so good. I can't wait to see what they do with Mai. Germane to that, relevant to that, at the arcade, I've been playing a little more Capcom versus SNK 2. in addition to Will, you and I also picked up SVC Chaos, which is SNK versus Capcom. Different from Capcom versus SNK, to be clear.
Yeah.
Man, people kind of talk shit about SVC Chaos. I like that one. SNK versus, I guess because it's not quite SNK versus Capcom, which is a lot of people's fucking holy grail of fighting games. It's kind of up there with Marvel 2 and Third Strike as, like, the 2D fighting games. Like, it's never been quite what it is here. But for a long time, I kinda didn't get it. Because when you hop on to play Capcom vs. SNK 2, it has you select a group. And I always got kind of analysis paralysis with that. I think there's like a small blurb on the screen what a groove does, but you have a time limit, and I could never make a very thoughtful choice. So I picked something kind of random, and I picked something kind of random, and I just get my ass kicked because it wouldn't match with my playstyle or the character, and I just wouldn't. So by sheer chance, I wound up picking K-Groove on my most recent playthrough. And something finally clicked. I couldn't even tell you, like, in the moment what was happening differently. I just was winning for once. So I was like, oh, maybe I've got the hang of it. Maybe this K-Groove thing is actually, like, something that just complements my playstyle. So I looked it up after. K-Groove takes after Garo, Mark of the Wolves, and Samurai Showdown, in that your damage increases the more damage you take. So since I'm a really aggressive rushdown player, and I play bulky characters like Big Bear and Bison and Balrog, it just suited me really nicely, and I just kind of found my little place there. And I could finally appreciate that SNK vs. Capcom is fucking rad. There, you get to see basically SNK characters in the Street Fighter Alpha art style, and I think I like playing as Kim and Geese, and like I said, Big Bear in that art style, and I think they get complemented really well. Some of the best stages in a fighting game. Would you agree, Will?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think very much rivals something like Marvel 2.
Alright. Man. It's just, an insane time to be into fighting games, because fucking Marvel 2, we talked about that we got to talk about the Marvel collection, right?
Yeah, I believe we did.
Yeah, we got to slip that in to our last record a while ago. But, Capcom vs. SNK, it's just got, like, this format where, like, the HUD is like a TV channel, and there's always, camera people. Because I love when fighting games go that extra mile to paint the atmosphere as, like, a crowd event. It's like people are watching, it's a tournament, you're on TV. There's, like, an Antarctica stage where you're just fighting. And so what happened was Dav and Troy came over, and it said the stage is Antarctica, and I was like, see, I'm going to the North Pole, and that's when I showed my ass that I didn't know those were two different places. That's how it all started. It's a cool stage.
Tommy,
it's
what
like
are you talking about?
Well, even Troy was like, no. It's like there's like a boat crashing through the ice with cameras sticking out. I like that it's like, despite all that pomp and circumstance, you've still got like Ken and Terry just taking their fight really seriously. They're not in it for the money or what have you. Even though I think the backstory is it's a tournament joint funded by Ken and Robert Garcia. So I thought that was also kind of a neat tidbit. And I beat the final boss. I think I beat it twice, actually, and I was some combination of Bison, Big Bear, Kim, Rugal, and Geese on both separate occasions. Oh, I think Mai was in there, too. I was Mai as well. I had a lot of fun with it, so it's another fighting game where it's like, yeah, I get it now. And I hope I don't log on one day to find out K-Groove is like the baby groove that only people who are bad at fighting games play, because I found my groove with it. So I'm hoping that all of their crossing over lately is kind of the breadcrumbs to a new Capcom and SNK game, because that would fuck hard.
Yeah. I will say, if they do a Capcom versus SNK game, since... Well, I mean, you know, we are getting, like, the Marvel vs. Capcom series back, kind of. So, like, I know there's a lot more, like, variety in there, but I have always, like, kind of thought it was a bummer that most, like, Capcom crossovers back in the day was like, oh, it's Capcom versus SNK, and by that we mean Street Fighter versus King of Fighters.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I like Blanca as much as an ex-girl, but, like, I don't want to see him in, like, in any crossover fighting game, especially when, like, your companies like Capcom and SNK, where you have, like, such a large library.
I would say, to be fair, King of Fighters is already, like, SNK Avengers.
That is true, and I think that's why I'm a bit less critical of SNK, but, like, for Capcom, it's like, why is it, like, 95% fucking, Street Fighter characters, and then, like, 2 characters from random games?
Mm-hmm. No, I don't disagree, yeah.
That being said, those games are, like, extremely good despite the roster. I think, like, for what they are, they're very perfect.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with SVC Chaos. I mean, I guess I know why people talk shit, but man, I think that game has some sauce. I don't think it deserves what it gets.
100%.
Alright, Will, back to you for our last rotation before the newsroom.
Alright. I'm also talking about a video game. And normally, even if I don't like a video game, I try to play it to the completion. This is one I could not do, so I looked it up, like, what happens in it, and I still feel the same way about it. Disco Elysium is not good, and here's why. Number 1, it is not a video game. It's barely even like a visual novel. Disco Elysium, you play this guy with amnesia, and you walk around talking to people. And it's long dialogue streams, which would be fine if there was actually any gameplay, but the gameplay is literally just walking from one place to the next. And I think when you have games that have detective main characters and are a lot of talking, like, for example, Phoenix Wright, those games are good. They're, like, you know, very much like a lot of talking, a lot of story, like, only a little bit of gameplay, but they're still good and they still feel like video games. Disco Elysium does not. It's like, everyone calls Death Stranding a walking simulator. They haven't played fucking Disco Elysium, because that is the only thing you can do. You can walk around and you can press A. So I feel bad about, like, you know, tearing into it this much, because I did look it up, and it was, like, done as an art project with, like, a French collective. And, like, I shouldn't let other, like, people get to me, but it makes me very, like, peeved when there's, like, best video game talks, and people are like, oh, Disco Elysium, bro. It's like, I don't know, that's like me saying, oh, what's your favorite movie? What do you think the best movie of all time? Is it 2001: A Space Odyssey? Nah, bro. Monkey Helps the Pigeon. It's like, that is, I know it's a weird comparison, but that's the best way I can describe it, in that if Monkey Helps the Pigeon, which has to be on the thumbnail now, can be a film by going from the first frame to the second frame, Disco Elysium is a video game because you play it.
I'm conflicted with your opinion on this.
What'd you say?
What Dad has more to say. You go. Sorry.
You go.
This is a game that's been in my backlog for, like, a good few years now. And, like, the thing is, I can't really, like, counter what you're saying too much, because everything that I've heard about it is that, yeah, it's pretty much you're, like, reading a book with very pretty art in it, basically. But I mean, I've heard a lot of great things about the story and the writing, and as somebody whose, like, 5th favorite game of all time is Steins Gate, a game. A game in quotations, really a visual novel that doesn't even have walking. Like, you can't even call it a walking simulator. You make interactions that change things like 5 times total throughout that entire experience, and I still love it. I feel like I'm not going to end up hating Disco Elysium anywhere near as much as you. But that being said, I totally get it. Like, this style, this genre is like, it's definitely not for everyone, especially if you go in with the expectations of it being not like, it'd be one thing if people said it was like one of the best stories ever written, but people saying it's one of the best games ever made, I think that definitely does set very particular expectations for it. So I totally understand.
And there's just truths to the fact that anything is annoying if you hear it enough, you know?
Yeah. And you know, like, kind of like what Dab was saying, like, about, you know, the story aspect of it. I was like, so I played this like pretty consistently, I think in like 3-hour increments until my Steam Deck died each time, and I wasn't really engaged in the story very much. So like that was the other thing, like in Steins Gate, like the anime, if the game is anything like that, I can absolutely see like getting engaged in the story. But for this, it is just very much like, someone died. What do you think of death, main character? And then like a voice inside your head goes, "You were an alcoholic, weren't you? Somebody died, didn't they?" And it's like, just like, what? How? This is a video game, and this is all we do. Can't we like get to something, please? It just made me, because I was honestly very excited to play it. I was like, this is considered one of the greatest games of all time. Let's go. And just the fact that like it wasn't even like. Not that it was like a bad, like it's not an offensively bad story or anything, it's just so dull. Like nothing about it stands out in the slightest, and I think that's what like peeves me, is because you do have other games with really good art styles, really good stories, that don't need like that much dialogue. I'm gonna talk about it a bit, possibly next month, but I played Celeste. That has very little dialogue, and it's mostly gameplay, but I cared about the characters so much more. Just
That's also considered one of the best video games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, a lot of trans people, just saying, didn't exist before Celeste. No, we all knew that the trans people were invented when Bionicles came out.
And Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just like stuff like that, when you have a game that people are like, this is one of the greatest games of all time, the story is incredible, and there's a game that takes like maybe 2 hours to beat, like Celeste, that has fun gameplay, an equally great art style, and characters that you also care about. It's like, what are we doing here? What the hell is going on? What the hell is that over there?
Well, even people who I know that like live and die by Disco Elysium kind of disclaim that like it takes a super long time to get going, and it's not going to be everybody's thing.
I think that's definitely fair. I think it just might be like my type of like preference, but it's like, if something's going to be a video game, that means there is an interactive element that you have to like think about and like kind of have a relationship with the game. It's like back and forth. But with this, the back and forth is you press A, you read dialogue. And I think that's just too simple that like, I think that even like a comic of this would be so much better, especially since the art style is so good. Like, it just doesn't have any reason to be a video game, and I think that's kind of like what gets it, on top of the fact that like it's just so tedious an experience as a video game. Like, this could have been... It could have been an excellent graphic novel, but they made it a video game for kind of no reason at all. So that's
I guess it probably stands out more the fact that it is a video. I feel like if you put it into graphic novel form, it would probably honestly not stick out very much.
I think so. I don't know. I've been reading up a lot of graphic novels lately, and I feel like each one that is really good kind of has its own thing that it does specially. I think with the stuff they were going for with like this guy's like, I guess, like, dark side talking to him, I think could be like a really interesting thing in like a comic format. But again, that's like, that is kind of, again, my opinion as well.
Yeah, I mean, kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum of like, you know, this one is very ungame-like for a game. I think another like series of games that is very hyped up, but has the opposite problem for me would be like the Dark Souls games, which is like, you know, there's a lot of lore in there, but it's like heavily praised for its gameplay, and people really love that stuff. Like, the people who love it really love it. I will probably never play any of those games to completion, because like they just really are not for me. And I think that's kind of just like opposite ends of the spectrum that we have here for kind of our own preferences in games. Like Disco Elysium is too little of a game for you, and Dark Souls and that sort of Souls-like sort of game hyper difficulty thing is just like maybe a little too much game for me.
No, I get that, and like, you know, thinking of, I am playing Elden Ring right now, and that is very much like a Souls-like that you have to get used to.
Like, I understand. I know why people love those games, but I do not want to sink the time that it takes to get through those.
I know, it can be very frustrating. Especially because, like I just learned this recently. You know Bloodborne?
Yes, I know Bloodborne.
So my partner was telling me this, so I played, my friend Brandon got me Bloodborne, and I played it, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm never touching this game again. Apparently for that game, every time you die, it gets harder, and that's like an asinine game design choice, in my opinion. So like, I definitely like see where you're coming from.
That is a crazy amount of masochism. That being said, yeah. I've kind of told myself, like, if I'm ever going to play through any of those games, it would probably be Bloodborne, just because I really dig the style of it, but...
Well, yeah. Good luck. Speaking of, if none of y'all have anything else to say, I shall pass it to you, Divey.
Okay, well, to round out the discussions of video games, because we're all gamers here, I'm going to go ahead and give a toast to The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This is the third entry in the Legend of Zelda series, and probably the oldest one I will ever play to completion, because I just have no interest in playing through the first two. They are just a little too strange for me. But this was released in 91 in Japan and 92 in North America for the SNES. And honestly, if you've ever really looked at how the first two games played, this one is such a huge step up that it's almost unrecognizable. It's almost like a completely different series, frankly. And it's kind of timeless the way that it looks and plays. Like, there are a lot of game design choices in this that just feel modern. Like, I feel like this game has really set the standard in a lot of ways for kind of how these sort of 2D dungeon crawlers go, and I really appreciate it for that. I was a big fan of A Link Between Worlds. I played that a little while ago and loved it. I honestly think I would still put that above this game, but they both kind of share the same world, and I really enjoy both of them. And I kind of played this one to prepare for Echoes of Wisdom, which is coming out next month as of this recording. Really excited for that. Probably going to play it right after Astrobot. And kind of the main gimmick in this one is switching between the light world and the dark world. There's quite a bit of that in A Link Between Worlds as well. But it really is kind of a new concept in this one, and it's really interesting how they do it. It's because it's kind of simplistic, but they do some clever things with it that I think are pretty neat. You can tell they were really experimenting with that whole concept. And this, like, overall is really just like the most ideal, like, classic representation, I think, of a game like this.
Is this a Toon Link one or like regular Link one?
Well, it's regular. This predates Wind Waker by like more than a decade.
Oh, gotcha. See, I get confused on the Zelda games because I had a few on my 3DS that like I got for free that I never beat, and I couldn't quite remember which ones those were. But I know they had, like, one of them had a Link in them, so I was like, is this one?
There was, like, Minish Cap, I think, is the 2D Toon Link one.
I think that was it, yeah. And, like, I'm really I'm really partial to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Penis, but, like, this one sounds really good.
This one, I mean, well, like I said, this is the third Legend of Zelda game. Like, there was the first one on the NES, then there was Zelda 2, which was just kind of the dumbest game ever.
I was gonna say, people always say that game's a fucking abortion.
It's like a side scroller, and it's like very combat focused, and it kind of sucks. I think it's most people's least favorite, and I just have no interest in it. And this was the one they followed that up with, so this was a big improvement. Like, I really think that whenever you think of like a 2D Legend of Zelda, this is probably like what comes to mind, because it's like this really set the standard even more so than the first game. There are like so many mechanics like that.
Is this the one they put on the SNES Classic?
Probably because this is the SNES one, yeah.
Right, okay. I played that one I like this game a lot, too, if I'm thinking of the right one, which... I don't think there's any other Zelda on the SNES, huh?
I don't think so.
So it probably is. I never finished it, but not for lack of interest. I think it's, like, artistically kind of the perfect, realization of this world within that aesthetic. Like you said, it's really timeless.
It's really crazy how good the game looks. Like, the art direction is really great. This is pretty much like if somebody made like a 2D indie game nowadays, this is kind of what it would look like. And which is even crazier that this predates Ocarina of Time by like 7 years. And, as big of a step up as Ocarina of Time was for, like, 3D games in general, that game looks really rough.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the definitive version of Ocarina of Time didn't come out until, like, the 3DS, pretty much.
Oh, yeah. Ocarina of Time 3D is, like, 100% the best way to play that game. It is so good looking. I'm really excited to try Majora's Mask as well. I'm kind of weighing between if I want to do that on the 3DS or emulate the 64 version, because, I mean, I've heard some people don't like the changes to the 3DS version, but I don't know. I think it still looks pretty great.
I remember seeing, like, a YouTube video with, like, a weird picture of the moon from Majora's Mask, like, constantly in my recommended.
Is it the one with the singer from Return of the Jedi, the CGI thing, like grafted onto the moon?
It was like, I eventually finally like put on it, and it was like, oh, this is interesting, riveting.
Yeah, that's one of those videos that was really picked up by the algorithm and was on everybody's recommended feed for like half a year.
I just know there are like a lot of days in like middle and high school when Will would tell me, Tommy, this picture of you looks like molester moon.
Oh yeah, Smosh.
And I'd be like, what the fuck is that?
I wonder if I could like go back and just like find the picture, and I'm just like, okay, which one was I talking about?
Of molester? Oh, of me.
Of you.
Yeah. Was it specific? Did I get it right? When you were talking about a picture of me?
I don't remember like saying that in high school, but it sounds like something I would say.
What is that from Smosh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's from I Saw the TV Glow.
Oh, yeah. Did Smosh continue with their new sketches?
I think so.
Yeah, I know they like... The first few sketches they did were like very classic Smosh-esque, and like a few of the later ones they did are like kind of going back to like the former quality, but I think overall it's like, it's nice to see them like making stuff again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda is also related to Smash.
Hey, remember remember the Legend of Zelda rap?
The Legend of Zelda. P to the L to the U to the G. I guess one thing that kind of surprised me about this game is that even though it came out in kind of the era of like video games that were kind of designed around wasting your time, it is like surprisingly streamlined. Like there's a few really dumb choices every once in a while, like you have to move a block that is completely indistinguishable from other blocks in order to open a door. That only happens like a handful of times, and for the most part, like when you go into a dungeon, you're out of it in like 20-30 minutes max. It's just surprisingly well made and streamlined for a game that came out in the era that it did. It's not absurdly difficult. It doesn't waste a ton of your time, but it still poses like a decent challenge. I know that this is a game that my dad played, and this was like one of the first video games he ever played, like quite a bit before I was born. And it eventually led to him when the original Xbox launched, and he went to go pick it up at Best Buy. He asked for a game that was like Zelda, and the guy recommended him Morrowind, and he's just been obsessed with Elder Scrolls ever since.
Oh.
Hopefully the next one comes out and he can see it.
He keeps joking about that. He's like, I'm going to die before Elder Scrolls 6 comes out because they keep taking so long. It's been 13 years now.
Well, I'm 87 and Concord is finally out on PlayStation.
Oh my god. You know Concord has like less players right now on Steam than Left 4 Dead 1?
I heard that it has like less players than like that those games you were like sending us that are called like My Date with Hitler or something.
Yeah.
Well, who wouldn't want to play as Fridge Lady?
It's such an ugly game.
You could be Fridge Lady. You could be pink hair.
Like,
we gotta support Concord.
I
so I can get a sequel and see my friends again.
For that too. Because like I can't. There's no way that can be all executive meddling, right? Like I don't know. I don't want to start being like, oh, game developers deserve less, but like, what were they thinking with this game?
Jeez, game designers, make up your minds.
Make up your minds. Come on.
Well, it's gonna be immortalized in a sketch in Secret Level. That's gonna age beautifully.
Hell yeah, that sketch is going to come out after the game has been shut down for a full month and a half.
No more. You mean I'm never gonna see old Dusty Tim again? No more Dr. Cypress?
Are these actually characters in the game? I mean, you could be making up anyone. I don't know anything about it.
I'm making shit up.
Yeah,
I'm like picturing their stupid character in their head and just making up a name for them.
Seems like the only hero shooter that's actually getting success right now is the Marvel one.
See, we talked a little shit when that first happened, but like they're kind of putting their best foot forward with like every character free at launch. I'm a little like, no.
I think they said that all future characters are going to be free too, right? Like they're just going to be part of updates.
That's really nice.
Fucking Magic with a K is in the game. Wolf it down.
It looks surprisingly quality, and like, as much as I hate the trend of hero shooters, I think if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it like that, like putting in effort.
Yeah.
Valve is making one.
The Magneto design in that game is really cool, and the way he like has a metal sword. I mean, obviously that's like Will to a T, but holy shit.
I like Hulk in that game. You start as Banner with like a gun and you have to become the Hulk.
He's basically Diva.
Yeah. Well, do you mind if I take the wheel for our last top of the evening before the news?
Yeah, I'll hand it off to you.
All right. Well, you see, what's that? What's that out there? Hey, Davin, Will, you see all these police cars outside of our podcast?
Oh, all the time.
What's going on? You mean,
where's the business cards?
Look, you both just have to promise you won't tell on me, okay?
I can't promise that.
Okay, yeah.
You know the butcher? That freaking nut job that's been going around chopping people up. Rumor is he's here at this podcast, and this West Coast Toast and Roast is a trap to catch him.
Oh, well, would you look at that? It's time for me to go to bed.
I heard he killed a teacher.
Oh, what? Well,
a teacher who what, Dav?
It wasn't a good teacher, right? It was probably like a
It was you know what? He was such a great teacher that he was given the most liked teacher award at the school where he worked.
Oh my god, I thought like it was like a lot to hear that he got it at the school, but like the one where he worked, holy shit.
The one where he worked?
Insane. We saw Trap. Oh, well, Dav and I saw Trap. Will, you're still behind on that one. You gotta get up on Trap.
Okay.
Rat Summer is over. It's time for Trap Fall. All right, so I think I'm going to be what I'm going to be kind of parroting that, because I knew I liked this film, of course, but like what really kind of opened my eyes to a lot of it was the Blank Check episode on it. And I think if you're sick of me talking about Blank Check and you want to try it, that episode is an awesome entry point, because it's not in the middle of one of their miniseries, because when the director they've already covered does a new movie, they revisit it. So they've done Shyamalan a long time ago. So their Trap episode is kind of self-contained without all the context. And I think they got to interview Shyamalan. He wasn't on the episode, but they just feel beautifully in touch with what the movie's really about. And anyone who lets this movie being kind of dumb deter them from it, I think is just like not in on the joke. Because Shyamalan referred to himself as, because here's the deal with Shyamalan, is that he made his famous horror movies, Sixth Sense, Signs, Unbreakable, his more tense stuff. Then he had his kids. And he started to feel like, oh, I can't keep making scary stuff if I want to make stuff to show my kids. That's how he got After Earth and The Last Airbender. Yeah. So he calls Trap his return to an aspect of his personality he calls the devil.
Now those kids are grown up.
Yeah, now those kids are grown up. And the reason that's so interesting with Trap is that it's about a dad who has to hide he's a serial killer from his own daughter. You know, so there's that kind of double textual tango going on there. And I think and the movie itself, like I'm gonna stop myself from going any more about the backstory. Check out the blank check if you feel so compelled. This movie had me howling. Like, the devil, M. Night was, like, giddy about it. It's, like, maybe the most quotable film of the year. In a climate where we don't really get, like, quotable comedies anymore, I'm not mad that what we have to go off is fucking, hey, Riley, it'd be kind of cool if we went into that little trap door, huh? Like, shit like that.
But there were a lot of parts of this movie where we were the only two people in the theater laughing.
These people don't know how to, I'm not gonna get mad. I'm not gonna get mad. Fucking God.
Yeah, there are so many moments that are just clearly dumb on purpose, and I think a lot of people don't catch on to that.
Shyamalan, man, fucking M. Night's cameo always eats. And I loved he introduces himself as, hi, yeah, I'm actually Lady Raven's uncle. Her mother's brother. It's so good. Okay, but Josh Hartnett also is a fucking superstar. He's like, I describe him, he's like if you put Homelander, Norman Bates, and Bugs Bunny in a fucking blender. Because he just like, and what I love about him is that it'd be so easy to be like, well, he's fast as fuck. He can get around and he's sneaky. But you see, he's like personable. Like fucking everyone makes memes of the t-shirt vendor, the guy who tells him all about it and kind of spills the beans. But what's so cool is that Cooper, the character, he's like, oh, I'm Cooper. What's your name? Jamie. Nice to meet you. Jamie, tell me what's going on. He's like got people skills, weirdly. He's fucking amazing.
He talks his way out of pretty much everything.
There was a moment where I turned to you and whispered, "Where's my business cards?" Because he's like, he like puts on an apron that he's. Well, first of all, and this isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailer. He like throws a glass kombucha into a French fryer to blow up in somebody's face.
It's like a jar of oil.
Yeah. Like, and he takes their apron, goes onto the roof of the building, and when people come out, he's like, "Oh, sorry, I just need a little break. Where's my business card?" It's so good. Fucking A.
It's a good redemption for Josh Hartnett because I think historically he's been kind of known as like a milquetoast actor. I think there was a joke in BoJack Horseman about him, actually, about how, like, boring he is.
That makes sense, and he kind of plays that here, where he kind of puts that forward as his dad personality, but then, like, the devil comes out, and he's, like, ripping his shirt off, and he's a freak. So good. And it's, like, the best premise for a movie possible, like, Silence of the Lambs at a Dua Lipa concert, I'm there. I think Will mentioned that she got the soundtrack for I Saw the TV Glow on vinyl for her partner, and Dav just goes, I gotta get one of those for Trap for Tommy. Fucking Lady Raven fanboy. Man, I don't want to spoil much, but if you're on the fence about Trap, go see Trap. Fucking fun as hell. All right. Ready for the news?
Here is the news.
I'm ready for the news.
Here's the news. All right. Shit hits the fan about Beau DeMayo, the mysteriously dismissed showrunner of X-Men 97, was apparently sending nudes to the staff. And he kind of tried to cover it as like, well, the truth is, I posted X-Men Pride Month and they got mad. It's like, no, man. No, that's not what it sounds like. So I think he got like fired from the set of The Witcher. And I'm kind of willing to believe that if he's been dismissed from so many sets that, like, he's probably
a pest.
Not. Yeah.
I mean, there was that, like, weird picture he posted of himself. Like, it was a drawing of him in Cyclops' outfit, but just the underwear and glasses.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, after knowing that, it's like,
Yeah, he was just very... Yeah, and nothing wrong with being forward about your sexuality, but it sounds like it just went beyond the bounds of professionalism.
Yeah.
Yeah. SAG is on strike again.
Yay.
Particularly within the video game industry and voiceover therein related. Will, you're close to this. Is there anything you want to vocalize?
Pretty much, I just like to tell a little story about the guy who did face capture for Quan Chi in Mortal Kombat 1. Promise this is relevant.
I've never heard of this, sorry.
Yeah, he did face capture for Quan Chi in Mortal Kombat 1. And then he makes a post and he says, "They now own my likeness. I will never make another..." Not just like NetherRealm, Warner Brothers owns his likeness. He will never make a penny off of his face. And that's the shit that we're like striking for.
Oh my god, that's fucking nightmarish.
Obviously, like, it's the AI shit is still concerning. Like, a lot of companies are just like unfortunately refusing to put in a clause that's like, we won't use your voice for AI in contracts, and that's really worrying. But you know, oh yeah, and then it also sucked because SAG-AFTRA was being like huge douchebags about it. They posted something like, okay, first of all, it's frustrating because number one, video game companies are being assholes. Number two, SAG-AFTRA is not helping. They posted a video from like a stream they did, and they were like, yeah, we just want to make sure that like everything can go union and actors get the protection they need. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And then they go, because we don't want like unskilled non-union actors like bringing the quality down. And it's like, oh fuck.
Oh boy.
Like, there's no, like, I think they even had to like Twitter note it that there's no difference between union and non-union actors. The only difference is that union actors have had the opportunity to join the union, which is really hard to fucking do. So it's like, way to like try to help us by throwing the majority of us under the bus.
Sheesh. Yeah, that's really
literally
rough.
Everybody in the video game industry needs to strike. Like, more than voice act, I think like artists and especially developers really fucking need to strike. They are consistently fucked over so bad.
I completely agree. I think, like, nowadays we're in, like, a culture where, like, 18 different things come out in the same month. And honestly, I think, like, I think that not only would it be better for, like, the public eye to get, like, okay, the game's coming out of this month, or this, and this. But it'll also be better for developers. It's like, oh, wow, these 3 games are really quality, not this shit like Concord, you know?
Right.
So, you know, as a voice actress, it makes me a little upset, like, what's going on, but I'm hoping that, like, things will get better. It also doesn't help that, like, a lot of... I'm not quite sure the word for it. I guess, like, Gamergate type people are, like, really happy that, like, video game actors are losing their jobs and, like, the video game industry is so terrible, because there's, like, this is what you get for putting a woman in Alan Wake 2. You all lose your jobs. You all never work again. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Those people need to go take a shit. I can't believe I'm hearing that.
Yeah. No, and it's like, if you don't like a video game, like, I can understand that you can just be like, hey, I'm not gonna play this, and by the way, I have a problem with this, even if it's, like, grossly disgusting. But, like, if you're like, I'm not gonna play this, I have a problem with this, I'm not gonna shut up about it, and I hope you all lose your jobs.
Right.
Go fuck yourself, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's my my soapbox. Unless either of you had anything to add to it. I do agree with you, Dab. I think the entire industry needs to strike. And quite frankly, unless it does, I don't think, like, it's going to get better in any section of it.
If we end up with an indie renaissance, I mean, all the better.
No, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that goes the way it, needs to. I guess it's only time will tell.
Yeah.
Right. Mind if I move on to Evo news? We had like 4 or 5 big ass events with lots of announcements. We just run through.
Yep.
Let's go ahead.
So when I was over at your place visiting in California, Will, you looked at your phone and you said, Tommy, close your eyes for a moment. And you put on the TV the Tekken 8 trailer for Heihachi Mishima, who was supposed to be dead. But, fuck you, he's back.
Heihachi Mishima is not dead.
Hasn't
God,
he
they were
died
digging
like
their
3
heels.
times by now?
So, yeah, but they seem to really mean it this time.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I love Heihachi. I think his outfit is really cool. I have like a soft spot for like characters that just like keep on coming back, but I do agree it's ridiculous to make like the climax of the previous game. All right, Kazuya finally beat Heihachi, and then Heihachi's like, "No, you didn't."
Very much like it's more the execution than the idea. Like they seem to be doing cool stuff. I guess I'll just, however the story goes. That means there's one more character in the past. So who's more of a surprise than Heihachi?
They said it's going to be. Oh, go ahead.
They said there wouldn't be a guest, but I guess they also said Heihachi was dead. So.
Are you sure they said there wouldn't be a guest, or did they say they were trying to focus on the like Tekken characters first?
I guess maybe I heard that statement and misinterpreted it. Do you think it's a guest?
I think so, because I remember Harada saying something like, right now we're focusing on the main roster character, which would still make sense given the fact that the first 3 are, or not main roster, like Tekken characters. And like the first 3 are Tekken characters, so I think it definitely, I would like bet money on that it's going to be a guest.
If they finally bite the bullet and put in Tifa, it'll be like another trillion to Bandai Namco.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be it would be kind of funny if they put Terry in that game too.
I'd take it.
Like Terry is in Smash Brothers, he's in Street Fighter, and now he's in Tekken.
Guilty Gear Strive's new season pass brings back my personal favorite character, Venom, which is good news, and it has Lucy from Cyberpunk Edge Runner.
It should have been Rebecca.
I can see why they did it, but I also think like it doesn't really excite me. I think if they were going to go with like an anime guest character, that's kind of a lame one.
Should have been Rebecca.
I don't disagree. I guess that's the big ones from that event. Next we've got... Okay, San Diego Comic-Con. Biggest piece of news that pierced the zeitgeist there. We learned that Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Dr. Doom in Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah, I know. Like, they're making it very clear that it's not Tony Stark, like it is just Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom. So I'm personally kind of 2 minds, because, like, I've seen Robert Downey Jr. act. He would make, like, I'm sure he'll do, like, really good as Doom, but it's also just, like, too weird for me to, like, look past that, like, hey, doesn't Dr. Doom look a lot like Iron Man?
Well, I think they're full of shit if they're saying it's not Tony Stark. I think it's absolutely a variant.
You think so?
I don't have... Well, they said he's from the same universe the Fantastic Four are from.
Okay.
So I'm thinking he's their equivalent of Tony Stark, even if he maybe has a different name.
That would be... God, remember how they were complaining about Spider-Man villains being associated with Tony Stark? Well, now Dr. Doom is Tony Stark.
Tony Stark. God, he's getting paid, like, an evil amount of money to do this as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think my favorite reaction was just a picture of Jonathan Majors' gang, and someone just said, You did this to me! You owe me 50 grand! Ugh. I think it'll be dumb. I think it'll be stupid.
I don't like it at all.
I just want a good version of Doom, like, please. It's like, I'm glad that, like, the comics and most of the animated stuff get him right, but, like, it's gonna be insane if like... Because the best, I would say, non-comics Doom is the one from Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, who is in 2 episodes.
Yeah, he's good and he works in any dose. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think it's you know, I'm just gonna say it. That Captain America: Brave New World trailer, they might be cooking. I don't think they're not cooking.
You're losing chess to a dog.
Yeah. Sorry, Will.
I'm excited for Harrison Ford.
Yeah. The hell's a Red Hulk? Okay. Will, you and I are gonna have it out about this because we feel very differently. Mortal Kombat 1's Year 2 has a story expansion, consists of Sector, Cyrax, Noob, Ghostface, Conan the Barbarian, and the T-1000.
Yeah, I'm not happy, Bob.
I think it's a little neat.
I think, like, in a vacuum... Well, okay, first of all, let's, like, go down the characters. I think T-1000 would have been cool if we didn't literally just have a Terminator character in the previous game. However, this is the closest we're getting to Chrome, and I think that makes me a little excited.
Yeah.
I would be extremely excited for Conan the Barbarian, but it sounds like they got the same dude who did, like, the dog shit Arnold impression as the Terminator in Mortal Kombat 11 to play him, and that has me, like, almost ruined. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but I did learn recently that his name is in the credits and he doesn't play anyone else.
Yeah.
Ghostface could be cool, but they have to do a lot of work with him. Like, I think if they made his whole deal that it's like Scream 1 Ghostface and the whole shtick is that there's 2 of them, like, on screen, and that, like, when you do a fatality and it unmasks, it's either Mike or Stu. Or no, I don't... That's their names, right?
Billy. Billy and Stu.
Yeah, that's it. I think that would be awesome. Noob is a character I really like, but I don't like his pirate hat.
His shadow clone looks really fucking cool, though. Have you seen the art of it?
I don't think I have. You'll have to send that to me.
Yeah, I'll track it down after this.
Sector and Cyrax, I just really don't like that they're not, like, cyborgs anymore. I think, like, the coolest part of them was that, like, you know, Cyrax's chest opened up and a blade would come out. Or the fact that, like, you know, and it's, like, kind of through their cameos, but, like, that, you know, Sector would, like, teleport through the grid, or Cyrax would, like, explode and then rejoin. The fact that they're just Iron Man suits really rubs me the wrong way. It's like, you couldn't at least, like, make them, like, the body cybernetic or something? I'm, like, I'm a little disappointed.
I think it's, like, it's always been a slippery slope with them, honestly. Like, they started with, like, suits, and that changed, but yeah, I'm open to it. D23 happened, so we got live action Lilo and Stitch.
Incredibles
3. Oh man! So I was hanging out with Dav when they dropped Incredibles 3, and I, like, started to cry in the club because I thought that if Brad Bird was making Incredibles 3, it meant he wasn't making Ray Gun, which was his detective movie I was really excited for. But somebody dropped a comment that Netflix was going to get that in 2026. So as long as it's still, like, in the air and being discussed, I guess I'm all right with it. Even though I don't think Incredibles 3 will be good,
No.
No.
Yeah,
Frozen
unless
3
it
and
has the Underminer.
oh yeah, Frozen 3 and 4 will be worked on at the same time because that worked really well last time. Toy Story 5 is about tablets. Gross.
Yeah,
Are you lost in the world like me?
Let's see. Oh, we finally got a release date for Win or Lose. I feel like we heard about that like years ago. It's a really cute looking Pixar animated series about a Little League baseball team. So I'm excited to see that. It's coming out in December. Kei Kwan is in Zootopia 2. Avatar,
Wow.
Fire and Ash. Spider-Man freshman year. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Guess that's all for that. I guess that just leaves Gamescom. Was there really anything at Gamescom this week?
Crap. There were like a good number of. I'm trying to remember because there were a few things I think that I was particularly excited about, but I think.
Let's see what IGN says.
So okay, so Borderlands 4 was announced, and that was really funny timing.
Oh, yeah. Based on the hit movie.
They 100% were expecting the movie to do better than it did to launch that a little bit higher than. Yeah.
I love to imagine they like brought in Kate Blanchett or Jamie Lee Curtis to like pull a Keanu, and they're like, actually, stay backstage. Stay backstage. Don't come out. I see the tomatoes out there. Oh man.
The Goat Simulator remastered, which had a pretty good trailer. I think they usually do really good trailers for those games, even if they are, they're Goat Simulator.
That and anything that's like fucking that or squirrel with a gun, it's just like I tune out. Just like, yeah, I get it. An Indiana Jones game is coming.
Yeah, Indiana Jones. I think was this when they actually officially revealed the release date?
Breakdown new trailer. December 9th, yes.
Right. That's kind of weird timing because it's like, what is that, like 3 days before the Game Awards?
Oh yeah, you're right. That is bizarre.
They're gonna reveal that Luke Skywalker is gonna be a guest character in that game.
There was a new trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds. I think Mai Shiranui gameplay was there.
Oh yeah, City of the Wolves. She looks cool. I love her. I'll always love Mai. She has the classic outfit, so it's all good. I mean, as an option, her default isn't the classic outfit, but you know.
And it's starting another culture war, of course, because, you know.
Oh, god damn it.
Well, it's so dumb. Okay, she has the red outfit. You can... Listen, buddy.
They didn't remove it. It's not censorship. It's just a new outfit.
It's just that she's 35 now, and she's still fucking hot. Like, women can't even wear black latex anymore without...
She literally ages like wine. I don't understand the complaints.
Jesus. That game looks... Oh, and we got a release date for that game, too. It's coming in April.
Oh,
right. Cool. Yeah.
Civilization 7, I think this might have been like the first gameplay footage we've gotten of it, and I do not know how to feel. Like, the art style for the leaders looks really boring compared to even like Civ 6.
See, I tried to play Civ 6, and they said this is going to be like the most approachable one, right? Like, they put a lot of emphasis on how accessible this one would be, because I remember like trying to play Civ 6 and not being able to wrap my head around it. Maybe I'm just dumb, but
there's no fucking way it's gonna be like more approachable than like Revolution. Like that was the most basic I think the series will ever be. This one I think just looks like 6 too. It looks just like 6 to me, just with a more boring art style. I'm interested to see what they do with it, but most Civ games lately have just not been very good at launch, so probably going to be another year or two before that's done cooking.
I do love looking at the cutscenes of the world leaders. I think that Civ 6 has like something really good with just the way they depict those out there fucking characters. Like
I really liked the Civ 6 art style. I know a lot of people didn't get it launch, but I think that it's like a nice, unique looking thing. And this is like a return to like Civ 5, but even like there's less sauce to it than Civ 5 had.
I'm impressed that Mouse PI is like existing still. I saw a trailer for that like years ago, and I was like, okay, buddy, yeah, that's gonna come out. And they're like, no, we're at it.
This is where we got the release date for Marvel Rivals.
Mouse with a gun.
Squeak the mouse with a gun?
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad, what were you saying?
This is where we got the release date for Marvel Rivals. That's coming out December 6th.
Oh, Civ 7 is out in February, they say.
Yeah, it's a few months out, but like, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's probably not going to be very polished at launch. It's going to be like like Civ 6 took like 3 years before it was in the state it's in now, and I think a lot of people would still argue that Civ 6 is not as good as Civ 5.
I see. Was that about cover it? I think that's about...
Secret Level was announced here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Concord!
So it's like an... Fucking Amazon treating Mega Man better than Capcom.
Honestly, yeah. The Squid Game thing is announced 2 years too late.
Oh, fuck that.
Uncle Ben, what happened?
Oh, right, no, they ended the show on a new Mafia announcement. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I remember playing a bit of 2 and like really enjoying it, but it's been a while, I think, since 3. And that one wasn't very well received, but yeah, I hope it gets like a really good comeback. This looks like it's going to take place pretty far in the past.
That makes sense. I've never tried one of those, but I mean, I love anything with a mafia, so I'm open to it.
You should. You got to experience your culture.
Yeah, true. Well,
it's your Yakuza.
I think that'll... It's my Yakuza. Gabagoolsk.
I guess, just to cap it off.
Sure.
Valve did finally officially announce their new hero shooter.
Oh, they did?
What's it called?
I do not remember because it doesn't stand out very much, and it's got a closed beta going right now, and there was a big controversy where they were upset that people were talking about the game even though nobody signed an NDA. It was just like a disclaimer at the beginning when you started up, like, don't talk about it. And there's been some pretty mixed reviews about it. And frankly, I just fucking hate that Valve had the gall to develop a hero shooter, and it's not Team Fortress 3.
Yeah. It's called Deadlock, a Google search is telling
Deadlock, yeah, that's right.
I was gonna say, it's like, when I heard that Valve was doing that, I was like, don't they already have one? I forgot that like Team Fortress 2 was a hero shooter.
Team Fortress 2 is such a massive... It's like the West's answer to Toho Project. It is fucking everywhere. How the hell do you have an IP like that and not expand on it? It's absolutely insane to me.
Unjust world.
It's truly, like, this is genuinely awful, but there are some good news coming out of this. Apparently, some of the insiders who were like attached to this hero shooter as it was being leaked are basically confirming that Valve's next game is Half-Life 3.
Wow.
I don't know about that.
Get in there, Will.
More vehicles.
Get away, Willow.
personally am so fucking stoked for that because, to be honest, even if you don't like Half-Life, Valve making a game with a 3 in it blows the doors open for every single one of their other franchises that they have not made a 3 for. That means Portal 3. That means Left 4 Dead 3. That means maybe even Team Fortress 3 someday. And I am so here for it. I am so here for Valve making fucking video games again.
Stupid video games.
We just need that last Team Fortress comic, too.
Honestly, yeah.
And, well, we'll see how that goes. And until then, I'm still recovering from COVID as I speak, and I'm Tommy.
And I'm still recovering from this fucking video game strike, and I'm Will.
And I'm still recovering from type 1 diabetes. And I will be forever. And I'm Dev.
Well, good night, everybody.